one needs a living tzaddik. I know one can attach to the dead tzaddikim, like Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, or the Rebbes. But a lot is lost because you can't get the appropriate application for the times. What happens is when these formerly living tzaddikim were alive, they were the tzaddik of their days. But once they're dead, they can't answer specific questions that are appropriate. One could say, like, what would one do in the Iraqi and Iran situation? What would they do? But it's easier to get a real life person. And this is part of the continuum of life and a continuum of the unfolding of what I call Olam Haba, which we are in a physical modality. The soul has to be in a body in Olam Haba, and it is. And this is a living tzaddik to answer your questions appropriately for the day that they are asked, for the time that is asked. One of my things is that my mitzvah is tefillin. Don't know why, but my mitzvah is tefillin. And one of the things that I like to do, or I suggest to do, is to rub the left hand, left arm, with the right arm before you put the tefillin on. You do it above the elbow where the block would go, but mainly below the elbow, where there's a lot of hair. See? The amah, the forearm, you see? And this forearm is the hair is like Esau. It's also like the ayil, the substitute for Yitzhak, because Avraham binds Yitzhak like a tefillin. And he binds Yitzhak. Avraham comes from the right hand, and Hesed, and Yitzhak comes from the left hand, Gevurah. So before you put on your tefillin, rub your arm a little bit, the amah part, the hairy part. Get a feel of this. In a certain sense, for me, this is the linkage together of Adam and Hava. It comes from the 45 name of Hashem, which is Yud, fully spelt out, Yud, Yud Vav Dalet, Hey as a Aleph, Hey Aleph, Vav with a Vav, Aleph Vav, and Hey with a Hey Aleph. That's the 45 name expansion of Yud Hey Vav Hey, which is also found in the Yetzirah world when you divide the four different names, 72, 63, 45, and then 52. The beauty of this 45 name, because Adam is 45, the beauty of it is that the din of that name is 19. It's the din of Yud is 10, Vav Dalet. The din of Hey is 1, Aleph, that's 11. The din of Vav, Aleph, Vav is 7, that's 18. And the din of the final Hey is Aleph, 1, that's 19. And that's how you spell Hava. So the din of the 45 name is Hava. And that's how we're going to bind Hava, who was taken out of our body, back into our body, and to make it one. In a certain sense, you're returning the feminine to you as a they. You see, the feminine principle is being returned back into you. Another beautiful thing about the 35 name is that the 45 name, is that it has 1 Yud and 3 Alephs. That's the 13. That's Echad. That's Ahava. That's also the 13 attributes of mercy, which are expressed in another level here in that 45 name. When you fully spell out the Yud with the Aleph, the Vav with the Aleph, it's Vav, Aleph, Vav, which is 13. And that's the way they do the 13 in the Arizal. He explicates the 13 attributes of mercy through the Vav as 6 on one side, 6 on the other, and an Aleph in the middle. These are the 13 attributes of mercy. And in a certain sense, this whole thing comes from Avraham, because Avraham is 248, which is the spelling of Rachem, meaning womb, which is the root of Rachum, meaning mercy and merciful. And the Rachem is the womb, is the mother. And this merciful aspect of Avraham comes from Hesed. Hesed basically is love with attributes of mercy. And what I also want to just explicate here is it's something that's meaningful to me, because I'm talking to you about finding a tzaddik. I'm not asking you to find a Hesed, a Hasid. A Hasid is submissive. A Hasid is merciful. But you must find the tzaddik. You must have a living tzaddik, a living master. And that master, as I've explicated, is the most submissive of the Hasids. The most submissive of the Hasids becomes the tzaddik, one that is giving up his life for you. That's what a tzaddik does. He's the most submissive of the Hasids. He is a Hasid, he is a Rachem, he is merciful, and he takes on a role. He takes on a role for you to be your tzaddik. And to do that, he takes on a different position in the tree of life. He is the most submissive of the Hasids. And see, what does he do? He goes to Yesod. Because Yesod is the area of the tzaddik. So he takes on more stringencies for himself. So he can be a a shlita, a dominant for you. He's not a dominant. He's the most submissive of the submissives. He's so submissive that he's willing to be your dominant. Because everybody needs a living master. And how did I find this morning? I've had this before, but all of a sudden I wake up and I do the word Tzaddikim. And I write out the word Tzaddikim. And it comes out to be Zadok is 90, and Dalet is 4, that's 94, and Yud is 10, 104, and a Kuf is 204. And then a Yud is 214, and a final Mem, because this is the great secret. Mem is 600. And 600 and 214 is 814, and that's, what is that? That's Shaddai fully spelt out. So when you touch that mezuzah, you know, the word written on the other side of the scroll within the mezuzah, Shaddai is that mezuzah. So you see your Zadok every time you touch the mezuzah. That's the Tzaddikim. And he's protecting you through every door. And that's how you relate when you go through the mezuzot, which are 65, and that's Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, that's the Malkus. So when you enter from the Yetzirah world into the physical world, you're protected by the Tzaddikim, by your Zadok. You're a Hesed. You're from Avraham. This is how you put on tefillin, my mitzvah. And part of that mitzvah is we have a shin on top in the head, a dalet in the back, and a yud on the arm. Shaddai. The person whose mitzvah is tefillin is your Zadok. In the physical world, you need an other because there's a great two-ness here. You need the projection, the whole idea of the narcissus, the reflection, seeing somebody's back, seeing the dalet of the tefillin of Hashem. That person only is a role play. It's not real. He's a submissive. And with these religions, it's what do you think? What do you think Muslim means? Muslim means submissive. Islam means submission. It's the same thing in Judaism. Hasidism. A Hasid is a submissive. Submissive to what? To the Zadok. And he becomes the Zadok because he's the most submissive. So he's submissive to the group. The master is submissive to the group. There are no dominants. There's only submissives. And the one that's so submissive is submissive to the group and takes the role of the dominant. That's why in tefillin, the right hand is putting on the left. The left is the Sitra Akra. It means other side. Everything is right-handed in what do you call it? In temple times. And you shake hands with your right hand, and you put tefillin on, wrapping with your right hand. Everything is right-handed. And the other side is the Sitra, the feminine, the Hava. And that's what the whole thing's about. And when these two sides come about, there's Vav and Vav, this arm and arm, a third opens, and that's the Aleph. That same Aleph that one puts in front of their eyes for the Shema. The Aleph with a Yud on top, a Yud on the bottom, and a Vav in the middle. A middle. The middle path. The Shashumna. It opens. When you open your other side. Now that's why what I suggest, you see, one has to recognize that the Ein Sof is the Sitra Akra. Without that, you're nothing. The right and the left are the same. When you recognize that and have mercy, Rachmanis, Rachem, the 13 attributes of mercy, which come out of the beard. And there's a beautiful thing and a beautiful time. Make the most of it.